Good morning students. Today we are moving to the first session of practicals, that is we have volumetric analysis and salt analysis to be included as individual practicals. While other practicals are considered to be demonstrative practicals, so that will be demonstrated, but individually you will be doing salt analysis and volumetric analysis. So today we are going to deal with volumetric analysis. So what does the term volumetric analysis indicate? Whenever I say volume, it means quantity. How much of quantity I have taken. So what does volumetric analysis indicate? Volumetric analysis indicate quantity of unknown solution. So by doing volumetric analysis, I will be coming to know what is the volume of my unknown solution. So what will I come to know when I do volumetric analysis? I will be coming to know like what is the volume of my unknown solution. That is the main objective of doing volumetric analysis. So by doing volumetric analysis, I will be knowing the quantity of unknown solution. Otherwise I can tell a volume of solution is measured in a chemical reaction. So volume of a solution can be measured in a chemical reaction. This is one way to define volumetric analysis. What is the other way? I need to add one solution to another solution such that the reaction will be completed. So this is the second way to define volumetric analysis. What is the second definition? Add one solution to another solution so that the reaction will be completed. So these are the two definitions for volumetric analysis. So by volumetric analysis, I will come to know what is the volume of unknown solution. Done. So what apparatus you need to do volumetric analysis? First one is burette, pipette, measuring flask, titration flask, beakers, tiles, chemical balances. So these are the required materials to do volumetric titration. So since class 11 has not seen any of the equipments, I just want to show what is burette. See, this is called as burette and this is your burette stand. Okay, so what is this? This is your burette and this is your burette stand. So when you see the burette, I think you will be able to see the graduations in it, right? Can you see the graduations in it? 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. There are graduations in a burette. And you have a blue color thing. This is called as stopper. So when I open the stopper, liquids will be flowing down. So I need to fill one solution in the burette and I will be opening the stopper such that drops of liquid will be falling down and it will be mixing with another liquid which is taken in the conical flask. As a result, the volume of the solution can be measured. Okay. So now where did I kept this burette, children? I mean burette. Where did I fixed this burette? This burette is fixed in an upright position by means of a burette stand. Okay. I have fixed burette to a burette stand so that it is holding stand. I mean it is holding firm. It is standing, right? See, this is the clamp. This way I can just remove the burette and I can fix it in a clamp properly. Okay. So we have seen the first thing, that is burette and burette stand is done. So what is the second apparatus? Our second apparatus is called as pipette. What is this? Pipette. See, pipette also I think you will be able to see the graduations. So this is a 10 ml pipette. So you can see the 9 graduation over there. Can you see? Yeah, you are able to see 9 graduation. So this is a 10 ml pipette. You have 1 ml pipette, you have 5 ml pipette, you have 2 ml pipette. So suppose I want to measure some biological specimens. Say for example, I am going to know how much sugar is present in urine or how much albumin or protein is present in blood sample. I am not supposed to pipette out, right? Because it's a biological specimen. I may accidentally swallow it, I may accidentally drink it. So in those cases, while measuring biological samples, I am not supposed to use this manual pipettes. Instead, micropipettes can be used where you just need to drag and drop. Okay, you just need to just press and drop. So automatically the solution will be dispersed into another beaker. But what we have for doing practicals today in chemistry practical, we have only manual pipettes where I am supposed to draw the liquid. I am supposed to draw the liquid. Okay, this is called as pipette, which which will be coming in different graduations, 10 ml, 1 ml, 5 ml and so. Okay, done. And the third thing which I want to show you is the third equipment is called as stand flask. And you know this is 250 250 ml standard flask. Hope you can see the measurement. It is a 250 ml standard flask. See, you will be able to see some graduations. I think you are able to see some mark here. So what is this mark says? This mark says if I measure till here, it means I have taken 250 ml of the sample, which means I have taken 250 ml of the sample. I think you might remember when we were sick in our old thing, like till 7 to 9 years of age. Say for example till 10 years, when we fall sick, the doctor will be prescribing for antibiotics. You know, antibiotics, few antibiotics can be readily available in the market, which can be readily taken, but most of the antibiotics will be available in the powdered form. So it is our duty to constitute it. We need to reconstitute it. In almost all antibiotic bottles, you might have seen a powder and the graduation mark, and there will be a distilled water given. So what you will do, you need to cut open the pouch and fill the water till this mark. Okay. In the same way, if I want to take any standard solution, then I should switch on to standard flask. So these standard flasks also are available in 50 ml, 100 ml, 250 ml and so. So when I fill the volume till this graduation mark, it means that I have taken 250 ml of the standard solution. So standard solutions should be prepared by means of standard flask. Done. Okay, and the next instrument will be funnel. See, this is a funnel. Suppose I am going to measure standard glucose solution. So what will I do? I will be taking the weight of standard glucose solution in a balance. Then see, I will be taking the weight using a watch glass. I can take it using filter paper too, but there are some substances which are hygroscopic or some substances are deliquescent. You know what does the term hygroscopic and deliquescent mean? Yes, what is the term hygroscopic? Hygroscopic substances are substances which can absorb moisture from the surrounding. So those substances are called as hygroscopic. So I should not take weight of those substances using a filter paper, because filter paper will be soaked, because the substance will absorb moisture. Hygroscopic substance will absorb moisture from the surrounding. As a result, my paper will become wet. So in those cases, I am not supposed to take the weight using filter paper, not tissue paper. In those cases, I will be using this. This is called as watch glass. And I am not supposed to take any chemical substance by means of hand. So I should use a spatula like this. So I will be taking the chemical in this watch glass, and then I have to weigh. So how to weigh? First take the weight of this watch glass, then take the required amount of chemical. When you subtract it, you will be getting the weight of chemical substance. Say for example, roughly I am telling you the weight of this watch glass is 0.5 grams. Example, right? So 0.5 grams. I want to take 1 gram of glucose. So what will I do? I should take the reading as 1.5 grams, because already 0.5 gram is the weight of the watch glass and 1 gram is the required weight of my glucose. So in that way I should do it. Okay. So I told you, after taking the weight of required substance in this watch glass, I should pour it in the standard flask, right? I should put it inside the standard flask. So I don't want to miss even a small substance, a small particle should not be missed out, otherwise the concentration will vary. So you will not be getting proper result. So for that purpose, I will be inserting this flask inside the standard flask, and then I will be just adding my chemical substance. But still make sure that there are some chemical substances sticking on it. So what should I do? I should be washing it with water so that all will go inside. Okay, step 1 is done. What is step 2? So when I wash it, there will be some particles which will be sticking in the inside walls of the funnel. So in that case, I need to wash the funnel also 2 to 3 times, and after which I can make up the volume to the required mark which is given in the standard flask. Okay, so this is how the standard solutions should be prepared using standard flask. And you have measuring beakers. Say for example, this is a 250 ml measuring beaker which is used to measure the volume of the water, and this is the conical flask which is used for titration. So mainly for titration I need 2 equipments, that is, one is burette which is fixed in its burette stand, and the second one will be your pipette which is here. So the solution should be added in such a way such that one solution from the burette should be added to the second solution in the conical flask so that I will be knowing the volume of the solution. That is the main objective of my volumetric analysis. So the last one which I wanted to show you is your balance. Previously they were using physical balance where you will be having two pans and we need to measure it. But as days passed, we started digitalizing everything. So this is a digital balance. So at first what I should do, I will be taking the weight of my watch glass, empty weight, okay, empty watch glass weight I will be taking. Then I will be adding the required chemical to it. Say for example this is 0.5 gram and I have to take 5 gram of glucose, then my reading should be 5.5 grams. Okay, this is the physical balance which is used for volumetric titration. So what we have seen till now, we know what is volumetric titration, we know what is pipette, we know what is burette measuring flask and titration flask. See, titration flask is otherwise called as conical flask. It is otherwise called as conical flask because can you see the shape of it? It's when you insert the cone, it exactly fits into it. Okay, the cone shaped filter paper can be inserted inside it. And then I showed you about droppers, I showed you about flask and spatulas I have showed you, and this is a dropper which is used to apply the acids. Suppose I want to add acids like sulfuric acid or hydrochloric acid, if all concentrated forms are highly corrosive in nature, so in those cases instead of using bare hand, I can use this. I mean, instead of using hand and dropping directly the liquid is said to be dangerous, so I will be using a dropper to add acids. Okay, done. So moving to the next topic. So you know what is volumetric titration, you know what is the apparatus used for volumetric titration. Then let us move to the important definitions. What is a titrant? What is a titrant? A solution which is taken in the burette is called as titrant. So any solution which is taken in the burette is said to be titrant. Okay, done. So since it is titration, you know what is titrant? Titrant is any solution which has to be taken in the burette. Okay, so you know what is titrant. Then what is an indicator? See, what is my objective? I am going to determine the volume of unknown solution, right? How will I know that my volume has reached or I have determined the volume of unknown solution? I need an end point to give me a hint or a clue telling that your reaction is over. Stop the reaction. So my indicator will do that work. So indicator is like a stop clock which is nothing but a chemical substance. It is going to indicate me that the reaction is going to complete. The reaction has completed. So how will I know if I use any colorless solution? So an indicator is a chemical substance which changes color once the chemical reaction is complete. Okay, so once the chemical reaction is complete, my indicator will be changing its color. With that I'll stop my reaction, that my reaction is over. So my chemical reaction will be completed once the indicator has changed its color. So end point is clear, I mean indicator is clear. So what is end point? End point is a stage of titration at which the reaction has just complete. Okay, so what is the end point of a reaction? Say for example, I have oxalic acid in the conical flask and I have a potassium permanganate in the burette. So appearance of pale permanent pink color is the end point of this titration. So what is the end point? End point is a stage of titration at which my reaction has reached or my reaction has just complete. So that is called your end point. Okay, done. So you know titration, instruments used or apparatus used for titration. Then you know what is a titrant, you know what is an indicator, you know what is an end point. Okay, then. Now let us see some important precautions before doing volumetric analysis. The first precaution should be, I told you I should be using burette, right? For potassium permanganate to be filled as a titrant, then burette with the rubber stopper should not be used. I am not using a rubber stopper. Here you have a plastic stopper. Why with potassium permanganate rubber stopper should not be used? Because your potassium permanganate will attack the rubber stopper. So the concentration of the reagent titrant will be changed. So whenever you are using potassium permanganate as a titrant, in those cases never use a burette with a rubber stopper. So this is your first precaution. What is the second precaution? When you are using potassium permanganate in the burette and oxalic acid or more salt in the conical flask, suppose you get a brown precipitate instead of pale permanent pink color, that shows that something is wrong. So if you are getting brown precipitate instead of pale permanent pink color, this shows that this is having less amount of dilute sulfuric acid. There is an insufficient amount of dilute sulfuric acid. Also, your potassium permanganate is incompletely oxidized. Okay. So when you get a brown precipitate, it shows that your potassium permanganate is incompletely oxidized. Why it is incompletely oxidized? Because the quantity of dilute sulfuric acid is not sufficient. Okay. Then, if you are using oxalic acid against KMnO4, in those cases, I need to heat the oxalic acid and just touch with your backside surface of your hand. It should be hot. Okay. Then only you should proceed with the titration because the reaction is very slow. When you are using oxalic acid against potassium permanganate, make sure that you are heating the conical flask in order to speed up the reaction. So you need to touch the backside surface of your palm so that you should feel the heat. You should feel the heat. Then only you should proceed titrating it. Why you are doing this? In order to speed up the reaction, because when you speed up the reaction, the liberation of Mn2+ will be more, which will be acting as an auto catalyst. As a result, the reaction proceeds faster. Also, there is a liberation of carbon dioxide. In order to expel it out, I am heating. So whenever you are doing titration of KMnO4 against oxalic acid, you need to heat it in order to make sure. There are 2 points for the reason why we are heating. Reason 1 is, when you heat, the reaction will be speed up. As a result, Mn2+ will be released, which is going to act as an auto catalyst. It is going to catalyze, it is going to speed up the further reaction. Number 2, the carbon dioxide formed in the reaction will be expelled out. And you should know the terms standard. So I told you before, standard solutions should be prepared in standard flask. Done. So what is primary standard? What is primary standard? So primary standard means you know the amount of substance which is dissolved in definite volume of water. So you know this. When you know amount of substance and the volume of water or solvent to which it should be dissolved, that is called as standard solution. So what is the standard solution? Definite amount of substance should be dissolved in definite volume. Suppose, say for example, this is standard solution of glucose. So what I do, 100 milligram of glucose is dissolved in 100 ml of water. So I know W and I know what is V. W is nothing but your weight and V is nothing but your volume. So this much amount of weight is dissolved in this much amount, that is volume of water. So when you know both the terms, then it is called a standard solution. So standard solution should be very pure. They should not be of hygroscopic or deliquescent in nature. Hygroscopic, I have already told you, tendency to absorb moisture from the surrounding, and deliquescent means the substance will absorb moisture from the surrounding and becomes liquid. Okay. Suppose there are some reagent bottles, when you open, you will be seeing a kind of liquid. Means what? They have absorbed moisture. Maybe they would have left it open for some time, they would have absorbed moisture and they become liquid. This is the absorbed moisture. I can tell an example of hygroscopic substance as a rock salt, which we use in cooking. During winter season, you will be seeing some moisture content in it. It won't be like how it looks in summer. The rock salt might have absorbed some kind of moisture, some amount of moisture from the surroundings, so it will be little wet. But the deliquescent substance will become liquid on absorbing moisture. And they should have high solubility. This is called as your primary standard. And what is secondary standard? Suppose there are some substances where the standard solution cannot be prepared directly. You cannot prepare standard solution. Why you can't prepare standard solution from them? Because they are not available in the pure form. In those cases, I am supposed to prepare secondary standard solution. An example of secondary standard solution will include potassium permanganate, then potassium hydroxide and NaOH. So these are the substances which are not available in pure form. So I am going to refer them as secondary standard substances because they are not available in primary form. Because they are not available in pure form, you cannot prepare any standard solution. So you know very well about now volumetric analysis, you know about standard solution. So next we are going to proceed how to perform volumetric analysis. Yes.